Mr. Garavalia, or maybe afternoon, depending on when you actually start watching it. We have two of your classmates to come in today to talk a little bit about their experience with the five pillars. So I would hope that you two would not need to introduce yourselves, but just to be clear, why don't you go ahead just to do it, just in case somebody's been asleep at the wheel and they don't know who you are. So go ahead.
I'm Andy Muzinovic, Omar Muzinovic,
And what
seniors
do you
at
got? Okay, great. And then what do you guys, anything to your involvement, just in case somebody doesn't know what you've been involved with?
and we play soccer and we wrestled. Yeah,
You wrestled? I didn't know that about you.
yeah, we
Okay.
wrestled freshman and sophomore year.
Okay. A little trivia about the two of you I didn't know. All right. So today in class, we're going to be focusing on the five pillars. And what you've noticed is that American culture has kind of like a caricature of Islam, where they have some ideas that may or may not be based in reality about Islam. And so, what we're hoping to do is kind of give them some lived experience and some information about it. So, let's talk a little bit about the five pillars. So, you've got the Shahada. Am I saying that correctly?
Shahada. Yeah.
Shahada. Okay. And what's that?
So that
And
so that in Islam, that's the basic like declaration of faith that all Muslims take at some point in their life, and it's basically saying like I bear witness that Allah is the only God and He is our Creator, and that the Prophet Muhammad is the last messenger and he is his prophet. It's like, yeah, like the submission to God.
and can you guys remember making that yourselves? Was there like a ceremony around it, or not a big deal, or a
Not
big
really
deal?
like a ceremony. It's kind of, you just say it. Like, I remember the first time we were taught it was like when we were really young. We would go to like, every Sunday, we would go to like school at mosque with, and it was like a Bosnian mosque. So it was mostly just like our other Bosnian friends, some that we went to grade school with. And like our teacher, the imam, he told us all what to say and we repeated after him. And then that was pretty much it. And a lot of kids do it.
And
It's not like usually a bunch of kids at the same time. It's usually just like if you haven't said it before, they like tell you what it means and then you say it and then that's pretty much it. It's not really that big of a ceremony, but they kind of like just based a lesson around it and then we just all did it.
and no lightning bolt from heaven or flutter feelings. I mean, or
I remember nothing like that.
okay, all right, fair enough. And then, how about anything else you want to say about that one, or should we move on to pillar number two?
That's pretty much it. Pretty much
Okay,
it.
pillar number two. So, what's the second pillar?
Well, it's I don't know the order, but I can name
Prayer.
prayer. Yeah, okay. Yeah, pray 5 times a day, which is something that ourselves included, a lot of Muslims like struggle with, especially in this modern world. But that's a huge part of being a Muslim. Like there's no questioning it. You have to pray 5 times a day. And at some point in my life, I hope to like be praying 5 times a day. But I can say right now that I'm not praying 5 times a day. And it's
Mar,
like,
how about you? Something?
what?
And what's it been like? Do you think if you were going to uh, a Muslim school, you'd be more apt to do it, or are there times in your life when you're better at it than others? I mean, has it been, do you think, especially tough to do that at SLU High? And do you think if you went to a different school, it'd be easier? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I know a lot of like I have a lot of Muslim friends that go to schools that aren't Catholic schools and they don't pray 5 times a day. So I don't know if it would be any different, but um
Okay,
well usually like the prayer
it's
times
not a
are
SLU High, it's not a SLU High difficulty. It's just difficult. Period.
yeah. And I don't want to say difficult cuz like God is like the way it's written in the Quran, God made it easy for us to pray. It's not this whole like mess of a thing. It's not that hard to do. It's just like finding the time is a big issue for a lot of people. But like most of the times are there's 5 times. So one is before sunrise, so like very early in the morning, and that's usually like around 4:55 a.m. And then the second time is when the sun rises, so that varies like from like around 6 o'clock till like 7, and then the third time is at noon. So it's usually around 1. That's like the time. It varies between like 12:58 and through the month it like shifts. So the first date of this month, Ramadan, is this month. Um, the first time that you do it is 12:58, and then the last time is like 1:15. So like it slowly changes throughout the month, but it's usually around the same time. And then the second, I can look at.
Well, so does Ramadan start today?
Yes,
Just to
today,
clarify,
today's the
at a
first.
certain time, or it just begins today, and then
Oh, so it started this morning. That's when we were supposed to wake up or something.
gotcha.
There's like a little like prayer you say, and then like eat, and then you go back to sleep, and then you do that your intentions for the month. Like you say that you're gonna just say it to yourself. It's like an internal thing, and then you eat or drink water, do whatever, and then you go back to sleep. And now we're both fasting now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then as far as the prayer goes, do you make it to the mosque?
So there's a like large variety of ways that Muslims pray. Like a lot of them. There's one mosque in St. Louis that's a Bosnian mosque, and that's where a lot of our family and friends go. Um, and usually like you try to get to the mosque, but a lot of people keep prayer mats at home and just do it. Like there's like apps and things you can look up to like show the direction of the Kaaba, and it's like that's the if you don't know what that is, it's like the holy place in Saudi Arabia that we pray.
Well, and so one thing that we were going to do when we went on the field trip on April 7th is that we were going to observe the prayer, but obviously that didn't happen. So when you go to mosque and you say your prayers, what do you actually do? I mean, how does it, is it like a mass, not like a mass? Or, so what would your friends who are Catholic, how would you describe going to the mosque like? I mean,
So it is like a ceremony, I guess, like mass. Like there's like a order to it and like what you do. So it would look a lot different though than what people would expect. You just explain it. Like, there's a so the imam is like the priest. He's like the leader of the he's the leader of the prayer, and then he's usually at the front, and he has like usually a microphone near him, and he's like speaking the prayers that we're supposed to be following with like in our heads for like the people that don't know or like the younger children. And so like you line up shoulder to shoulder, and that's usually when there's a lot of people, it's like a pretty cool sight because everybody's like shoulder to shoulder. And so you say Allahu Akbar, and then you like start doing the motions, like you follow him, like it's just like so
can you demonstrate it for us? I mean, like,
I'll try. So like it's called the one movement is called a rakiyat, which is you stand up. I'll try to show you. You stand up like this, you say Allahu Akbar, and then you start praying. You say Al-Fatiha, which is the prayer we learned yesterday. And then you go down, you repeat a phrase 3 times, then you come back up, and then you go all the way on the ground. You touch this is probably what you like the common thing you've seen a lot of Muslims doing when they're praying, but they go down, they touch their forehead on the ground, they repeat another phrase 3 times, and then they come back up, do it again, and then they stand up, and that's one like cycle. And depending on what time of day it is, you do a certain amount of those.
and so what? And when you say it's pretty cool to be shoulder to shoulder with somebody together when you're prayer, what's that like for you to be in that mosque, kind of shoulder to shoulder with everybody around you? What goes through your mind, or what are you thinking about as you do that?
I think it's like a lot easier to like feel God in that moment because like you just like feel like united with everybody, and it's just like I don't know, it feels pretty cool when you do it when you're. It kind of like it's meant to like put everyone on the same level. Like no one's better than anybody else when you're praying to God because God's like the Almighty One. That's what it's kind of. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for being willing to demonstrate that. Go ahead. Sorry, Amar.
The men are like always in the front, and like the women line up behind them. And that's not meant to be like, oh, men are better. It's because they don't want the men looking at the women like that.
Gotcha. When they're doing the bending over and things like that. Okay. Thanks. Anything else you want to add on the prayer?
Oh, usually like before you come in to pray, like if you didn't shower like right before, there's like a ritual you do to it's called like abdest, and it's like wudu. Yeah, and you're like washing. It's like you wash yourself, like you rinse your nose, your mouth, behind your ears, and like your wrists, and that's pretty much your feet, and then you go in and you take off your
So,
shoes always.
so like a purification?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, let's move on to Ramadan because it is today and you started talking about it and you are fasting. And obviously, as we already had from the interview before this week, it's going to be really different for you this year because of the quarantine. So, why don't you just tell everybody what is Ramadan? Why do you celebrate it? And why do you celebrate it with fasting and then coming together? And what's it? Is there anything that you like about Ramadan, don't like about Ramadan? What's it like for you?
Uh, Time of year, and the main reason it's celebrated because in the Islamic calendar, it's believed that Ramadan is the month that the revelations of the Quran were revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. So that's why it's like a very holy, special month for Muslims. And you fast from sun, like basically the whole time the sun is out. You're not allowed to eat or drink, and it's meant to kind of like teach you that like what it's like to be less fortunate, and like for you to experience like being like low at a low point kind of, so you can like be more thankful for the food that God has given you and all the like things in life that God has given you. It's basically a time to like where a lot of people become more connected to God. It's a time where people spend a lot of time like learning more about their own faith. So like it's a very like sacred time of year for Muslims, and it's like I've always had like a good experience with it. It's been like when I was younger, like usually people that are not supposed to fast are people that are ill or like too old or like have health conditions or really young children. So we didn't fast when we were younger, but we started like fasting as we got older, like into high school. And if you like if you miss a day or something, you can make that up later. You just have to like make sure you keep track of that. You don't say anything. Yeah, in general, I feel like I don't know, like during Easter, people are usually just like happier. So I feel like it's like the same thing. It's just like a holy time, and like it brings your mood up. That's for me at least. Like my mood is always up during this time of year. Yeah.
And is there anything that's well, tell me a little bit. Is it difficult for you to fast? Is it difficult to do that, especially like at a place like? Is it difficult to hold to keep Ramadan like at a place like Slu High when other people aren't fasting, or is it not a big deal for you?
Yeah, it's it can be difficult at times. It's definitely a lot easier now that we're not like at school and we can just relax at home. But usually if you're doing things like along your like daily life, it I know that adults that do it, like they go to work, they keep up their daily routine, and it's it is pretty difficult. I know that like for the first couple days, it's like the most taxing on the body. Like you can experience nausea or headaches, or just like you're just hungry in general. But after like the first couple days, like when you get into like the second week, it's a lot easier to do, and you feel your body actually like you start to feel a lot better.
Cool. Well, anything else about Ramadan, or you want to move on?
Oh, there's so at the end of Ramadan, there's always a 3 day celebration, a feast kind of. It's called Eid, um, and that's something that is like really big in the Muslim community. That's like a day where your family comes and sees you. You eat together during the day. It's kind of like a 3 day breaking of the fast, like celebration. That's like it's kind of like a Muslim Christmas. Like it's very a very special time of year.
And don't a lot of Muslims also go to the mosque on Eid?
Yeah, you go together in the morning and pray, and then yeah,
Cool. Okay. Well, how about the last two? How about charity or zakat?
yeah. So basically, there's that's a big part of Islam is being a charitable human and doing like charitable acts without like seeking anything in return. And basically, it's like if you're grateful for what you have, then you'll find a spot in heaven like later on. So you have to donate like a certain amount of your income or wealth to the homeless or less fortunate, and that's
Isn't
like,
it 2.5% of your wealth?
excuse me.
Isn't it 2.5% of your wealth? Or am I wrong on that?
I don't know the specifics, but it could be something like that. But all I know is like it's just it's kind of like in like a lot of like the ideals at SLU, like how much service is like emphasized and like charity. It's pretty much like the same idea, like giving back.
Yeah. Okay.
And for us, like we would like give donations to the like our mosque, like the Bosnian mosque that we go to. Like every week when we would go, like our parents would give us money and we would like just give it. Yeah, a lot of people see like if you just donate a little every time you go to the mosque, that adds up to like your requirement.
Yeah. Well, have either of you made the Hajj yet? Have you made the Hajj yet?
No, no, not yet. Not yet.
And anybody that you know?
Our some of our cousins in Bosnia have made it. I know that neither of our parents have made it, and there's like Ramadan with the fasting. There's like certain things that can restrict you from going on Hajj. So if you're sick, then you can't. You don't have to do it. If you're too like very young children, don't have to do it. Older people don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
I know.
there's I'm missing something. There's like, oh, if you're traveling like during the time of Hajj, like if you have like obligations to travel somewhere, then you don't have to do it. Like, and it's basically it's meant to be fulfilled. Like, oh, it's a one time thing in your life. So you have a vast like there's a long period of time that you can squeeze it into some point in your life. It's a
Well,
lot.
I was gonna say I hope you both get to make it someday.
Yeah, yeah, we do. It's a really cool experience. Like I've seen so many pictures and videos of like people doing it, and like there's so many people there, and you're all like praying together. It's like it's pretty powerful. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, what else would you want to say to your classmates about Islam that you don't think they may not know, or something that you think they may have misunderstood, or kind of like the whole takeaway in our class is just for them to learn about the spiritual wisdom and the power of Islam. What else would you want to say to them about the spiritual wisdom or power of Islam?
Um, I guess like what a lot of people don't like misconceptions are like they're like completely different people, or they're like they believe so like completely different things than us, but they're like I'm sure a lot of people know by now, but like there is a lot of similarities within the religion. Like we believe in Jesus and his like the virgin birth of like from Mary. We believe in his miracles. Like we believe a lot of the same things that Christianity believes. It's just the one difference is that Muslims believe he didn't die on the cross, which is a controversial topic, but
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you. Here, unless there's anything else, let me stop recording.
That's all.
All right.